Drew, this is it. We have finally reached the final level of 2020. I shudder to think what the final boss fight is going to be of this horrific, horrific year, but I'm ready for it. Are you with me?
You better hope it's not a boss rush mode, because that's the easy way to get me to check out of a game.
Oh, no boss rush. That would be bad.
Yes.
That would, especially for 2020, that would be horrible. That would be like fires, famine, racism, deception, all at once. All for us.
Yeah, I'm not here. No, I'm not here for all that.
No, just give me the final boss. But until the final boss rears his ugly head, we're going to sit here and entertain the people. Folks, welcome back to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. We are so happy to have you with us. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me, as always, is the man who would probably make the coolest looking Lego minifigure, Mr. Drew Celestino.
I don't really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think you make a really boss looking Lego minifigure.
That's not like a height joke, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just checking. I'm all in on the idea that we get custom Funko Pops of some kind, but apparently, did you know that you can do that now?
Yeah, I guess in the Funko stores, I believe there's one in New York and one in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
This is a bad time to do stuff in a store.
Exactly, especially in those two areas.
I think it's an online order world now for the next little while.
But you can get a customized Funko, the way it looks, the box, everything. So, Devil's Due Funko Pops, not 100% out of the realm of possibility. So, sir, here we are back again. Let us get to the happy joy that all our listeners came here from. Sir, how was your weeks?
Well, let's kick things off, shall we?
There we go.
There we go.
That's what we were waiting for.
Anyway,
what is the drink of the evening?
A classic, if you will. It is a Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale, 2020 release. Right. Yes, I've been Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was like my first introduction into craft beer. So many years ago, probably 20 plus years ago now. And the Celebration Ale comes out at Christmas time. Well, like in the fall into the winter, and has come out at that time is basically as long as I can remember. So as long as I can remember, I have made sure to get myself some every fall, winter, and this year is no exception. So having a nice Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale.
Alrighty,
it's a wonderful beer.
We do have much to celebrate this episode. Some of it joyful, some of it a little more somber, but celebrations all around.
So, my weeks.
Your weeks, sir.
Let's see here. I mean, it's not like I went anywhere.
Right.
Let's see. I got some final air quotes recording done on A Long Cold Dark Song. So that if I can live with everything that I did, that leaves just one song left to sing. And then I'm in basically final mix mode. So we are closer than we were yesterday to being finished today. But I'm not going to do any sort of release planning or anything of that nature until, number one, it's all completed and in the can, and then I'll do all that stuff. And number two, I'm still at a kind of a loss, kind of a crossroads. I don't know what to do about some type of performance. I haven't figured that out yet. So yeah, anyway, that's been on my mind. But in any case, that's what's going on there. I finished construction on a parts caster finally. I'm slowly chipping away at that for the last 3 months or so. So it finally all came together late last week, and that's super fun. Turned out beautiful. Made a Telecaster out of a body I got on eBay, a neck from Warmouth, and my choice of pickups and everything. Put it all together, and it's great. It needs some fret work though, so I'm going to be taking it to my luthier of choice in town tomorrow sometime, and he'll have to do a little fret work on it to make it perfect. But other than that, I'm super stoked about that. I kind of want to do another one, but at the same time, I have, I think I'm back in the 10 or so range, maybe more of guitars now, and I don't know that I need any more, but it's kind of my addiction, so it is what it is. We all have our demons, I suppose.
There are worse addictions to have.
Well, it's a pricey addiction.
There are pricier addictions to have.
I suppose. I should probably think less about guitars and more about, I don't know, more practical things. But in any case, we had Thanksgiving between our episodes, did we not?
We did.
So Thanksgiving, we kept it very small. It was just Jen's family that came over, and we see them pretty much every week anyway. So well under 10 people. It was just 6 of us. Yeah, 6 of us. Plus dude is 7. So, but I still cooked as if I were cooking for double that.
Well, I mean,
that's just my nature. I can't help it.
One of the best parts of Thanksgiving is the leftovers.
We had plenty of that. Plenty of leftovers. But I made turkey. I made stuffing. I made mashed potatoes. Jen made the sweet potato casserole. Everything was excellent. And then I had a abundance of leftover leeks. For whatever reason, the Instacart shopper bought me a shopping bag full of leeks when all I needed was 2. He gave me 10. So to try and use up these leeks, I ended up making my green chicken chili yet again. I've made this chili almost every week since I started making it, Carl. It's addicting. It's amazing. It is.
Are you kind of adopting it as your patented chili?
It is.
Is that the signature Drew chili?
I think it's replaced my red chili. It has replaced my stock chili that I've been making for well over 15 years. The green chicken chili is the new hotness, and it is so good. It is very delicious. I used up some of the leeks in that instead of the onion, and honestly, I'm not going to say I couldn't tell a difference. It was great. If there was a difference, it was subtle at best, so that was good. And then to use the rest of the leeks, I ended up making potato leek soup yesterday, which is dynamite. Oh my god, it turned out fantastic. So that's really about all I've been up to. Haven't been doing a ton of video gaming. I'm playing Doom 2 right now. I'm somewhere in the level 20s or so. I had a fun, and by fun I'm using air quotes, glitch. I don't know about glitch, but there was a problem. The problem was I saved my game and level 24, saved my game. I had all the weapons, because I just saved the game. You could in Doom, you can save whenever you want, right? So I've been saving all along, loading and saving as I need to get by sections and things like that, and then go back. If I die, I go back and then run it again, and on and on we go. Well, I was doing really well, and then okay, gonna save my game. I saved my game, and when I loaded the game after a death, it loaded me inside of a wall, and I could not escape the wall. And because this is on Switch and not on PC, there is no terminal for any kind of a code entry. So I could not clip my way out of the wall as I would on PC with the good old id clip code. So I was stuck in the wall, and I had to. Fortunately, there's a positive to this. The positive is I was in a wall in a toxic waste pit, so I could take damage and die and start the level over again. But when you start the level over again, you start off with none of your weapons. So you have your pistol, and that is all. And I'm in the 20s in the levels, so the levels aren't exactly easy. So
pistol ain't gonna get it done, Drew.
Yeah, well, I just got done basically getting myself back to where I was prior to us recording right now. So that was not fun. That made me really mad, actually. And it's apparently a known bug in the version of Doom that they have used for ports and things like that since the mid 2000s. So it's just one of those things. And yeah, that part of me does wonder though, like all the cheats in the Switch versions of Doom and Doom 2 are not entered. They're selected effectively from a menu. But if all of these are just ports of I think it's Vanilla Doom that they use, possibly, or it might be Chocolate Doom. Actually, it might even be GZ Doom. I don't know, but one of the popular Doom shells that's out there. I mean, if that's what it's using, if there were such a way to bring up a console window to enter code, like if I had a keyboard for my Switch, I wonder if I could do that. But alas, I will go wanting for now. It's fine. I fought my way back, as unfun as it was, but I'm back. Yeah, it's okay.
But are you back in Pog form?
I am not back in Pog form, unfortunately. No.
All right. Well, yeah. Baby steps.
Baby steps. We'll get there. So, yeah, that's me. How are you?
I'm doing all right. As you mentioned, we had Thanksgiving. We did not meet with any family out of safety precautions. There was the sense of people wanting to have the Thanksgiving as normal as possible, and I was like, this Thanksgiving is not going to be normal. Like, we're not going to have our normal meeting. We usually go over to Julie's mom's house, and my mother comes over. And we weren't going to have that. And I was like, I don't want to try and treat it like a normal Thanksgiving. If it's going to be as different as it is this year, let's kind of do something different. So my suggestion for Thanksgiving dinner was tacos. Like, I would make my tacos, and we would just, kind of do that. But Julie, felt strongly about having a regular Thanksgiving dinner. Mm-hmm. So we got a Thanksgiving dinner from Bob Evans.
Okay.
Which, I mean,
I like Bob Evans.
It was good. It was fine. Yeah. It was certainly cheaper than what Wegmans wanted. But yeah, it was fine. They had leftovers for a couple days, so it was just me, Julie, and William. Other than that, not a lot going on. I think we're going out tomorrow to get our Christmas tree. We usually do that around middle of December, but I just kind of want to get it going earlier this year. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My gaming is still primarily Star Wars Squadrons, which has been a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right.
Not a super eventful past couple weeks, at least I can remember. If I'm forgetting something really big, I apologize. But dear listeners, as always, we want to hear from you. We want you to communicate with us. We love when you guys participate in the show. It makes the show so much better, not only for you all listening to it, but for us to do it. If you want to reach out and communicate with us, you can do so with the following social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/devilsdupod. You can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdupodcast.com. Also, just want to take this moment to remind everyone we are now available on Spotify. So if that is a more convenient way of listening for you, by all means, go and check it out. And Drew, we do have ourselves a couple emails. The first one coming from Mr. Nick Landers.
All right.
And Nick has sent us 4 questions One specifically for me, one specifically for you, and then two that would be, I suppose, tag team question. This first question for me, Carl, have you seen the picture of the Star Wars themed hotel rooms at Disney? I think they look really cool, and I hope to stay there in a couple years once life gets back to no mask, back to normal, and my wife and I can take our three kids there for the first time. Nick, first off, I'm just going to say I feel sympathy for your bank account, sir. Yeah. I have seen the pictures of the hotel. It does look absolutely fantastic. I will stay there one day. If there is a benefit to what's currently going on in the world, it's that I can kind of push that a year or so instead of really trying to force and get it done, which is allowing us to get some stuff done around the house. But yeah, I definitely do want to check it out. Did you see those pictures, Drew?
I haven't seen any recent ones, but I mean, I know, like, I was following the development of the hotel and all that. Is there like new stuff I should be checking out?
They released artist renditions of what the pictures or what the rooms are going to look like.
Oh, okay. So
it's pretty awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's not like live construction stuff.
Gotcha.
Like,
look, I see it. I got it up. I got it up right now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Very awesome. It's very Star Wars.
Yes, it is.
No windows. That's a little weird, but okay.
Well, no, there are windows.
Yeah.
They're kind of Tony Stark windows. Like, you can choose to have just like a regular window looking out of the hotel building, or you can replace it with a starscape and like Star Wars stuff.
Right.
Drew,
right.
I got regular windows at home that can look out into real world. When I go to that hotel, I'm looking out at Star Wars stuff. Drew, I'm legitimately concerned that I'm not going to want to leave.
We'll see.
I think I'm going to become space hobo person and just like live at that park. Maybe.
Maybe.
So, all right, moving on to his next question. Drew, now that AEW and Impact seem to have potential working arrangement. Yeah, we're going to be, trust me, folks, huge things happened in wrestling this week, and it was so huge that it will happen in our news section. Do you think this will help AEW's women division get better since Impact, New Japan, and Ring of Honor are working together? Dare to fantasy book with the four companies' talent? Carl, please chime in. Just to touch on that last part, I wouldn't be able to chime in because I'm not familiar with the other company's talent. Drew, do you want to table this one for our winter's coming discussion?
Yeah, I think we're going to get into it. We're going to kind of get into all this. So
yeah. All right. His third
Not
question.
to worry. This will be addressed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the unfortunate rise in COVID cases, do you think that Dynamite in Rochester, rescheduled for June 2021, will be rescheduled for a fourth time? Or maybe will it happen if the world gets the vaccine mass distributed in time?
That's getting pushed back again, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Even with the vaccine rollout, even if we were to roll it out immediately, I don't foresee enough of the population getting it by that date. And I don't have a lot of faith in. I mean, there's certainly light at the end of the tunnel, in that I'm trying to remain somewhat optimistic about it. But the realist in me knows that this is going to drag out longer than we want to admit. So, be hopeful, but be prepared to, unfortunately, deal with this for quite a bit longer. So, yeah.
All right. His fourth question, since The Mandalorian is such a mega success, do you feel Disney will be making multiple spinoffs like the Obi-Wan show and more? And do you think they'll have Jon Favreau involved with all of them? Because he should be. Really enjoy the show, guys. This is the way.
My opinion, it seems like a no-brainer, but I think they might be reluctant to... they probably don't want to oversaturate the market. And I think, like, it's tempting to want to just go all in and, like, look at this thing's doing gangbusters. We should just do a ton of these. Yeah, but as I've said for a long time, and you have disagreed with me a little, less is more. I think Disney might have actually learned that lesson the hard way when they tried to release Solo months after The Last Jedi. There is a threshold on all this stuff. And if you just dump out too much of it, none of it really is special anymore. So let Mando take the center stage. And then when the Mando is done, whenever his arc concludes, because I don't think it's going to go on forever, they probably have some kind of, general outline of how long they want it to go and yada, yada. Once it's reached its conclusion or whatever, then you have the next one in the can ready to go. I feel like they should just always have a flagship and stay focused on it.
Right. I agree with that. I think they've been really smart, especially, obviously, the pandemic's had a lot of influence on this, but you see with things that they have shot and ready to go, like WandaVision and Winter Soldier, they're not counter-programming themselves.
Right.
And I don't think they would necessarily do that with Star Wars stuff either. They want a central focal point for Disney Plus. You focus on that, and then that goes away and makes way for a different central focal point. Like, for example, when Mandalorian, we have, I believe, 2 episodes left for Mandalorian, and then we have WandaVision. 8-episode seasons. And then WandaVision starts in January.
All right.
So they're being very smart that they're not overcrowding their own marketplace. So now we know we're getting an Obi-Wan show. I saw before we started recording, I saw that Diego Luna stated that the Cassian Andor show is going to start filming this month. So right now, I think for what they have planned, they're good for right now. They've got Mandalorian. I believe they said Mandalorian's going to be a 5-season show, and then the story's done.
Okay.
So you do Mandalorian. If you kind of want to do a Netflix Marvel thing where you oscillate the seasons of the characters, we get a season of Mandalorian, then we get WandaVision, then we get just to use an example, season 1 of the Obi-Wan show. And then we get season 1 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then the next season of Mandalorian, keep it maybe not that separated, but, keep a central focal point and don't overcrowd your own marketplace.
Yep, exactly.
So that's my thoughts on that. Nick, thank you very much for the email. We appreciate it. And our next and final email is from Mr. J. Gelsomino.
Jay!
Drew and Carl, you get the keys to a Marvel or DC property. The whole universe is at your disposal to make a TV show or movie. What company, what storyline, and who directs? You can add in specific actors too if it's another we need to fill time kind of week.
Wow. Oh man, that's loaded. Well, Carl, prior to us doing what we do here, and prior in another life, maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago or so, I would have easily said Daredevil. But we got that.
Yes.
But we got that.
Oh, did we?
And I'm so happy we did. I'm sad that it didn't go on longer, but we did get what we got, and it was a great ride while it lasted. So now you were to ask me, what would I do? Free reign, boy, oh boy. That is a tough question. I may have to let you go first because I'm a bit stumped. I don't know that I have the... Well, you know what? No, hang on. I take that back. I take it back. I do know. It was right there. It was right there in front of me the whole time, Carl. I wanted.
What you got?
I'm doing GI Joe, but I'm doing it my way. I don't have a team of talent to spit at you right now, but I do know the tone I would go for would not be what they went for with the movies.
So are you doing a movie or a television series?
I'd go movie. Well, actually, no, I take it back. I'd do a TV show. TV show, all encompassing. We're going to have a lot of angles. There's going to be the big battles, which will only take place, usually as finales, that kind of thing. But we're going to focus a lot on a lot of different characters. We're going to have espionage. We're going to have spies. We're going to find a way to kind of ground some of the more wild ideas that ever got put into the line. We'll find a way to make them work in a contemporary, believable setting. So things like Serpentor. We're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it in an interesting, realistic way that makes sense. And we'll keep it pretty tightly character focused, and then we'll ramp up the action when we need to.
So more kind of like a G.I. Joe Shadow Ops show.
Kind of. I mean, there's going to be, it's tempting to want to do like, the cartoon had, every episode had some kind of weird, wacky plot that Cobra had, right? Well, when you're doing a kid's show and you got to crank out 60 episodes, whatever, for syndication, that's one thing. But for what I'm talking about, each season would have, a big, Cobra's going to have a plan, obviously, but big overarching plots and plans, not like, plot of the week or plot of the day kind of stuff. And all your characters are going to get fleshed out, and there's going to be more deeper stakes involved, because we're going to get to know the characters more. And we're going to ground it. We're going to ground some of the more wacky elements.
All right.
But it needs to happen. It definitely needs to happen.
So you're saying no Sergeant Slaughter?
No Sergeant Slaughter. I'm sorry.
That's unfortunate.
The fridge is welcome.
The fridge is all right. For me, I'm gonna do something that's kind of already being done.
All right.
But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say better than what they're planning on doing. I'm gonna do Green Lantern.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it as a series. The first season, there will be an initial 3 seasons plotted out, trilogy style story. The first season is all about the Ring finding Hal Jordan being trained, and dealing with the Manhunters.
Okay.
And also the fall of Sinestro. The second season is going to be the Parallax story. Parallax infects Hal Jordan. He becomes Parallax. He becomes this like alpha level threat that the Lanterns have to deal with. And then the third season is the Sinestro Corps and the war with the Green Lanterns. And then if we were to go on past that, then you start to introduce some of the... I mean, you probably can introduce a couple of the other Earthbound Lanterns throughout those seasons. Not Guy Gardner.
Guy has his place.
Yeah, he does. And his place is way over there.
I mean, he has to be put in his place, but Guy has a place.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I would do.
I like how I should it should be noted. Clearly, budgetary concerns are just nothing. There are no budgetary concerns here because I think both of us have ambitious ideas.
Well, your budget is much more controllable than mine.
Yes,
yours is like realistic with a fantasy twist military show. Mine is space cops. Yeah. So my budget, I think it'd be slightly bigger than yours.
Probably.
Okay, so Jay's, whoops, lost it here. All right, so Jay's question for you. Now, this one you can answer without going too much into the news that we're going to be doing. Drew, do you actually plan on watching Impact Tuesday or just the YouTube highlights later?
Tuesday, 8:00. I mean, I have nothing going on at that time. Dude is going to bed, so I generally...
Do we even know what channel it's on?
It's on Access TV, but I don't know if I get that channel anymore because I recently redid my package on DirecTV, so I'm saving some money, so I probably don't get it anymore. If I do get it, I'll watch it on Access. If I don't, and if you don't have it yourself, good news. Impact streams for free on Twitch. So go on Twitch, right. And Impact is there at the same exact time as they are airing on television. So you're good to go.
That's pretty smart.
Any port in a storm, Carl. They need people to watch their programming.
Yeah. All right, Carl, more interesting concept. The Street Fighter characters in Lord of the Rings or the Lord of the Rings characters in Street Fighter? Huh. I'm going to go the Street Fighter characters in the Lord of the Rings because they, in a very roundabout way, somewhat lend themselves better to the story. I mean, Ryu is always walking around. There's a lot of walking in Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, we'll go with the Street Fighter characters. Maybe a good Hadouken will finish off the One Ring instead of having to take it all the way to Mount Doom. Yeah. All right. Cool. Fun times. Thanks, Jay. We appreciate the emails as always. So now let us move on to our news of the week, news items of the week. And we do, like we said, we have things to celebrate this week. One of our celebrations is a celebration of a life that impacted a lot of ours, a life that played a very key and pivotal role in something we love very, very dearly. This week we celebrate the life of David Prowse, who passed away last week due to complications of COVID. David Prowse, for those, I'm sure everyone listening to the show knows, but just in case you don't, David Prowse was the actor who portrayed Darth Vader in the original trilogy. He was the man inside the suit, whereas James Earl Jones did the voice. David Prowse was the physical presence and physical performance of Vader. Now, the two things I think you always immediately think of when you think of Vader is the voice and the physical appearance. Just that imposing figure. And the performance he put in was just as pivotal to that character as James Earl Jones' voice. And this is yet another member of the original trilogy cast that we have lost in as many of years. And Drew, as you and I have discussed it before, we are getting to the age where we're starting to see our childhood cross the rainbow bridge, so to speak.
Yep. It's a bummer. Yeah, I hate seeing those names that we know from our childhood that we grew up idolizing. You just hate seeing them move on from this earth. And David Prowse was not treated super great by Lucasfilm, which is a shame. But he was the man in the suit. You can never take it away from him. He gave Vader his size, his presence, and his demeanor. his physicality, and he'll forever be part of the lore. So, rest in peace, good sir.
Indeed. Go with the Force. So, that being said, moving on to some, lighter hearted things. Really quick, I just want to touch on something. Obviously, there was a big announcement this week that Warner Brothers is going to be releasing all of their 2021 theatrical planned releases directly onto HBO Max, same day as theater release. Obviously, this is a massively huge announcement. And to really take apart something like this and dissect its possible implications, I thought it would be great to have an expert on the show in matters of finance and economics. And I'd asked Drew if he'd be interested in having my financial advisor on the show with us. And Drew's all for it. And my financial advisor, unfortunately, could not make it this week. It was kind of short notice, and the good sir has 3 kids of his own. So kind of scheduling something that short notice is most of the time next to impossible with 1 kid. So you could just imagine what it's like with 3 kids. So he will be on our next episode, and we're going to go into that big announcement in depth in our next episode. But I didn't want you, the dear listener, thinking that we were going to skip over it. So let's move on to some other fare. Very, very, very show centric. Drew, this past week, the hashtag Save Daredevil was trending again in Twitterverse.
Really?
Mainly because this was the official, I believe, the official end of the time where Netflix had the rights, and they have 100% officially reverted back to Marvel Studios now. One of the things that really got this thing trending was because some of the cast members were tweeting it out, most notably Vince D'Onofrio, and some Marvel Cinematic Universe alum were also tweeting it out, most notably Agent Coulson himself, Mr. Clark Gregg. So, Drew, this thing has been kicked up again. We've touched on this a little bit in the past, but now the rights are back with Marvel. What are your thoughts on this? Do we see the character again? I mean, obviously, we know we're not going to get that show back. That show was a product of its environment and that it was on Netflix. But Marvel obviously is going to have plans for this character. How do you think they introduce the character again? Do you think it's Charlie Cox? And when do you think this happens?
It's not going to be imminent, I can tell you that. Then again, I mean, maybe they could shock the world tomorrow and be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, Daredevil's coming back to Disney Plus 2022." Like, they can do that anytime they want. I don't know. Like, I wish I had a better feeling for how they view that stuff. Like, it was acclaimed. Fans loved the Daredevil show. I mean, let's put aside the other ones for a moment. Like, I'm not talking about Luke Cage. I'm not talking about Iron Fist. I'm not talking about Punisher. Like Jessica Jones. When you just look at Daredevil, like, it was pretty well received across the board, right?
Right.
So, does Marvel embrace that and give us, that back, or do they say, you know what, it was great, it had its run, but we have a bigger universe to play in here, and we have to kind of make it work for that? I don't know. I'd certainly like it. I'd like it if they kept it, this picked up where the Netflix series left off. but we've always felt that the tonal differences in the Netflix shows and the MCU proper is pretty stark. And I don't know if Marvel's quite ready to go there yet with the MCU. Then again, I mean, did you see those rumors? And I don't even know if it's rumors. Like, I think it's still rumored, but it might be actually official that they're doing Deadpool 3 with Ryan Reynolds, and it's going to be rated R, and it's going to be Marvel. Did you see that?
I did see those.
So
yes.
if they're willing to, go there, then why can't a more grounded, edgy Daredevil show exist? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that you can. I mean, listen. We've said we've kind of, in this world we live in. I'm not just talking about like pandemic. I'm talking about like geek culture since 2008. You can't say it's never going to happen anymore, because pretty much anything we thought would never happen has pretty much happened. So could they bring back the show? Yes. Do I feel it would be the same tone as the original show? I don't. I still think you can bring back that entire cast, use them, and it does not have to be that tone. You can still make it serious, and you can still make it a for lack of a better term, a darker tone than a lot of the other stuff they're doing. But it's probably not going to be Netflix gritty. I would really like to see the character show up. I think we've discussed this before. Like, to me, the coolest thing to reintroduce the character is they're doing the She-Hulk series, and the season finale of the She-Hulk series, Jennifer Walters is late coming into court, and as she walks into the courtroom is right when the bailiff says, "All rise," and you see the defense attorney is Matt Murdock. And I think, obviously everybody, ourselves included, want Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock. We want Vince D'Onofrio back as Wilson Fisk. We want the entire cast back. I'm very interested, because it seems with what we know of the next phase of the cinematic universe is going to be slightly smaller scale, dealing with bigger universes in smaller ways, especially with the multiverse, things like that. And so I think it's time that they have this opportunity to really explore the street level characters like Netflix did. But who knows? I mean, again, Marvel's credit line with us is very good. And, even if we hear something announced, we're like, I'm not sure if it's necessarily something I agree with, but I will wait and see what you do, because you haven't necessarily done anything wrong yet.
Right.
So we'll see. Hopefully our little Daredevil show that could, which is kind of not so much a Daredevil show anymore, but that's okay. We're always a Daredevil show at heart. Next news item just announced today, Drew. Snake. Snake. We have a cast for a Metal Gear Solid film, and it is none other than Mr. Apocalypse Poe Dameron himself, Oscar Isaacs. Drew, how do you feel about this?
I love Oscar Isaac, but as Snake, I mean, he's a great actor. I'm sure he could do it, right? But But I don't know. Physically, he doesn't strike me as Snake. He's not the tallest guy in the world. And
that'll help.
I say that as a short guy.
That'll help him fit in the box.
Yes. Clearly, they did. They scouted this well. I know that shouldn't matter, but let me tell you, Carl, as a short guy, it does. It matters. So I don't know how he's going to physically prepare to be Snake, but you know what? It's Hollywood, and I'm sure they can make it work. Tom Cruise is a very slight man as well, and we buy him as an action hero. So, Oscar Isaac is awesome. So as long as he brings his A game to the performance, I think I'm on board.
Yeah, I'm all for this as well. Poe Dameron, easily my favorite character from the new Star Wars films. I really enjoy Oscar Isaac. Anytime I see him in a film or in like some sort of interview or something, he just seems like a good hang. Seems like to be a fun guy to hang out with. So I'm definitely all for this. All right.
But what is that movie even going to look like? That's the question. Do you know how nonsensical the Metal Gear Solid story is?
Just make the original Metal Gear Solid game. Just do that.
God. Yeah.
Complete with Psycho Mantis screwing with the audience.
Even that's a bit much, but we'll see what they do.
Indeed. All right, Drew, on to the biggest news story of the week. Folks, typically this is something that we would cover in our How Was Your Week segment. We never shy away from talking about our passions. Professional wrestling definitely being one of them. Originally one of Drew's passions, and I've kind of hopped on to join in the fun with the emergence of AEW. And oh boy, golly, did we have ourselves a show this past week?
We did.
Many things happened. So just to kind of set it up a bit, they were building up the weekly show of AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is called AEW Dynamite. This week's show was called Winter is Coming and was essentially built as a pay-per-view level event in place of their weekly show. And we had 3 massively huge things happen at this show. Some of which excitement generating, one of which very question raising. So let's get into this, Drew.
Let's go.
This being your passion, your baby, I will let you take the lead.
Well, you can walk me through.
All right. So I think the first thing, not to bury the lead. Oh, I do want to mention that we all got together and watched this via video chat, me, you, and Alan. So we were watching this together, which at times seemed awkward because we were all at different points in the broadcast because of delay. I blame
Facebook Messenger for that. We should try Discord sometime.
Okay, we'll do that. We want to do this again. So there was a tag team match between Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs of Team Taz.
Love Team
Taz. Going against Cody Rhodes and AEW newfound sensation Darby Allin.
TNT champion Darby Allin.
TNT champion Darby Allin. I will put respect on the belt, even though Cody apparently does not. The champ comes out last, Cody.
Yeah.
I love you, Cody. I appreciate everything you've done. The champ comes out last. Darby and Cody won the match. And at the end of the match, there's just this huge beatdown. The bad guys are sore because they lost. And, Dustin Rhodes comes out, gets beaten up.
He gets murked.
And Cody is about to get tattooed with the FTW belt.
That's correct.
When the lights go out.
Yes.
So, Drew, at this point, What were you thinking was going to happen?
I literally had no idea. So the old trope when the lights go out is that someone's making you're either introducing somebody new or somebody unexpected is gonna, appear and make the save, right? So all I could think was, they're debuting somebody. Who could they be debuting? And so my brain, because I follow this stuff, I start, I start going into like, okay, who's around? Who have they signed? Who have they not signed? Who might it be? Who, you know what I mean? Who's available? Who's not signed with WWE, etc. And I had nothing. Then they showed the Videotron Kicksod, and it's all this snow covered stuff. And I did know that former WCW talent Glacier. Hey, laugh all you. It could have been cool. It could have been cool. They did ruin it, but at the same time, it's a gimmick. It could work. The guy was he was a very talented guy. He did the best he could with what he was given at the time. I thought it was Glacier, and I only say that because Glacier is friends with Cody. He has worked with AEW. He is kind of in the circle, right? Like, oh, they're going to bring out Glacier, and maybe they're going to do a little angle with Glacier. All right, whatever. They're, a little redemption for him 20 years later.
Because they had, like, snow.
Yeah.
Snow falling in the arena.
Right. So, my brain went, it's Glacier. It's the snow footage on the Tron, and they got their piping in fake snow in the building. And then the Tron spelled out Sting. And I went, oh my God.
It's Sting.
And I shouldn't have freaked out. I mean, I don't know. It shouldn't be as shocking as it is because, he was in WWE just a few years ago. So it's not like he's been gone for 20 years and this is his first reemergence. He was in Impact Wrestling before WWE even. But the fact that Sting, there's a lot of symbolism in him coming to AEW in that this is the first time he's been on TNT since 2001. He was one of the faces of WCW at that time on Turner, right? Tony Schiavone was the commentator for WCW back then. Tony Schiavone was the one who got to lose his mind on commentary. Everyone gave him the space to make the call. It's Sting! He lost it. He went berserk. And it's just so fitting that he got to do that all these years later. So Sting comes out. And suddenly it's like, I don't even care that he can't wrestle, because I'm sorry, but he has spinal stenosis and he's 61 years old. Unfortunately, Sting cannot wrestle. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. AEW treats their legends really well. Like all their legend type guys are in good roles on screen or behind the scenes. So like Arn Anderson is Cody's coach. They never make Arn look stupid. Arn is always out there and treated with respect. Tully Blanchard, same thing. He's a manager. He doesn't get treated. They don't make a goof out of him. He's got a gig. Taz has had the coolest career resurgence I've ever seen right now. Like Taz is awesome right now, and and again, he's a mouthpiece for younger guys, but he's super effective in the role. They treat him seriously. I take him seriously. It's awesome. Jake the Snake, same thing. Like, dude, when Jake is on, he's on. He'll draw you in real easy just by using his voice. So like AEW uses legends very well. So if all Sting has to do is show up and be in someone's corner or be a presence on the show to deter the bad guys or whatever, fine. Super effective. And Carl, it just some statistics for you. They sold the most Sting t-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees in the history of the company inside of 12 hours for any one shirt.
Wow.
On top of that Sting debut was, for a good period of time, it was the number 3 most watched video on YouTube in the world.
That
for a period of time. I mean, I'm sure it's not now, but for a minute, it was the hottest trending thing on you. It was the number 3 hottest thing on YouTube. Let's see, how many views does it have as of right now? Sting debuting. Let me pull it up. Where's the Sting debut? I'm sure they have a clip of it. This is all AEW Dark. There he is, Sting. Dude, it's got 1.8 million views already. The Sting, it's got 1.8 million views on YouTube already.
And a couple of those are from me because I went back to rewatch this because like we were watching it on video chat, so you've got the noise from the video chat, you've got, we're all reacting and everything, so I didn't get to fully take in 100% of the moment. I went back and watched it, and I'll say this. I mean, I am not the fan that you are, but I remember Sting, and I realized that Sting is an icon.
He is.
And one of the greatest of all time. Like, I go back to before it was Crow Sting. I go back to, like, Surfer Dude Sting.
Sure. We all remember. We all remember that. Well, not we all, but I remember.
Yeah.
He was the face of WCW, man.
He was, yeah. Between him and Ric Flair, those were like, and he was the one that never left.
That's correct.
Like,
that is right.
He was always there. The excitement that moment created, like, I marked out for it. I'm not ashamed to say, because it was just a moment that was done perfectly.
They really did it well.
The music, the visual presentation of it, and how Sting carried himself in the ring.
Dude, he has such a presence. He's older now, but he still looks the part. And yeah, it was great.
It was a moment that was executed flawlessly. And I went back and I watched it a couple times, and just like, there weren't a ton of people there, and you and I were discussing earlier in the evening about how a hot crowd is so pivotal to professional wrestling.
It's so important.
And obviously we appreciate that now more than we ever have before. That crowd, scarce as they may be,
they lost their minds.
Distance as they may be, they popped like there was 10,000 people there.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was insane.
Quite a moment, quite a shocker. So Sting, and they announced after the fact, Sting has signed a multi-year deal with AEW. So he's going to be around. He's going to be on the show. Again, he can't wrestle. At least I don't think he can, unless he gets cleared by some doctor. But I really, for his own health, I would hope that he avoids taking any bumps of any kind. But he doesn't have to, man. Like I said, all he's got to do is be a presence, and it's cool. And it's interesting that he was in the ring. When he went in the ring, he did an interesting thing that I've seen been pointed out on the internet. He went to basically 4 generations of wrestlers before ending on Darby. So first he went to Arn, which is Sting's generation. Then he went over to Dustin, who is 1 generation younger. Then he went to Cody. Then he went to Darby. And I think it was super intentional.
A partnership with Darby, some sort of relationship with Darby, seems to make the most sense.
Yep, totally. Remember when Darby was hanging out in the rafters for the last little while? How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet they've been working on this for months, and putting Darby up in the rafters was just a subtle thing to like go, yep, see what we, because this company, dude, I'm telling you, AEW, they know what they're doing. Like it's I might be overselling it, but look, I'm if you come from WWE world, they plan things week to week. They throw out plans minutes before they hit the air, okay? They don't remember what happened on their shows the next week half the time. So anything in AEW that gets delivered, believe me, They planned it out and they knew exactly what they were doing. So when they put Darby up in the rafters, I almost guarantee they started doing that just to plant the seed in your head that, like, hey, remember when Sting did that? And now here we are, because they knew they had Sting coming in.
Yeah.
They play the long game. They play the long game and they do it really well. It's so refreshing to have a company that doesn't, wrestling is always going to have goofy stuff in it, and it's not always going to work and pay off, and sometimes it's a little cringy, and we don't, you know what? It's fine. But as I say that, it is nice to have a company put forth something that doesn't insult my intelligence. AEW very rarely insults my intelligence. They pay things off. They don't treat me like I'm stupid, and they pay things off.
And like we said, I mean, obviously some sort of partnership with Darby makes sense and seems to be the obvious choice. Just because something is obvious and makes sense doesn't mean it's going to be bad.
Right. It doesn't have, that's the other thing in wrestling. You
don't always have to be smarter than the room.
Yes. And this is something that I think we can look back on. I mean, ultimately, we can look back on the 90s, the Monday Night Wars, as proof of that. When you try to outsmart your audience all the time, when you try to swerve people all the time, just for the sake of swerving people with no plan, if you're just, trying to get a pop from the crowd just to create a moment because it's unpredictable, if you don't have a plan to follow that up, your moment meant nothing, right? Like, so if you just because it's just because it's expected or just because it's predictable doesn't mean it's wrong. If you execute it well,
yeah,
I can know what's going to happen, but if you do it well, great. Fine.
Yeah. And when you don't do it all the time, when you do it, it has more of an impact, even if it's not on a marquee character like Cody or Darby or something like that. Like, a couple weeks back when they did the swerve with Willie Hobbs.
Right.
And he came out and he turned heel.
Yeah.
And because they don't do things like that often, it had more of an impact. So, ironically enough, this is not the biggest story of the night.
For some people it might be, but no, it's not.
It's 1B, I would put it.
Sure.
So to move on to the next biggest story of the night, not the biggest story of the night, but the next biggest story of the night. Drew, we have a new AEW World Champion, and finally, it is the Best Bout Machine, World Traveler, wrestled in North Carolina.
I still don't know what that's about, but it's making me laugh.
Mr. Kenny Omega.
Kenny is champ.
Was this a match?
It was fun. It was a great match.
Was a great match.
So here's the thing. This is the wrestling, nerd in me. Commercials in a title match really hurt. Like,
yes.
Oh God, commercials in any match hurt. Like, when I'm watching a match, I mean, believe me, I know this sounds nerdy as hell, but hey, this is a nerdy show. I don't care. When I watch a wrestling match, I am invested. I don't need anything to distract me from what's going on. And ultimately, the two guys in the ring are telling a story. So if you cut away from that story to sell me crap, my perception of the match is now, it's tainted. I can't focus on what's happening. The story in the ring is now secondary, and it hurts the presentation of what we're supposed to be seeing. That said, what we did get was great. Was it a 5-star classic? No, probably not, but I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, free TV commercials are going to hurt a rating, or, it's going to hurt the presentation of that match no matter what. Number two, and I think it should be obvious, this is not the final time you're going to see Moxley and Omega face each other. So they did not leave it all out there. They saved some stuff for next time. And there's going to be a next time, and it's going to be bonkers.
I think one thing, kind of getting back to your take on the commercials, I don't think picture-in-picture helps.
I agree. To be honest, I'd rather it cut away entirely.
Because just from a logistical standpoint, I'm assuming there's some communication to the in-ring performers that the show is on a commercial break.
Yes.
So they probably downshift a little bit for that moment in time, allowing themselves a little bit of recoup time.
Bear in mind, in outside the U.S., there are you can subscribe to AEW. I forgot. I think Fight TV in Europe has this. You can subscribe and you get the show with no commercials at all. So when they're in break, whatever's happening is still happening for the people watching it via that service. But for the majority of the audience, like us, yes, we get picture in picture. So I don't know to what degree the talent, takes it down a notch or not. I really don't know, because technically it is still happening live to someone.
Right. So yeah, I'm not a fan of picture in picture, despite the fact that JR loves it more than the breathing life itself. It's funny, like you go back and you watch the Sting debut. Yeah, JR totally flubs that whole thing. He doesn't catch up to the required energy level until it's almost done.
Like I said, Tony Schiavone marking out like an idiot was great.
Yeah.
While we're gonna talk about the whole thing, but while we're on the JR hate train, JR also said that Kenny Omega beat Okada in Tokyo. That is incorrect. Kenny Omega beat Okada for the for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in Osaka, Japan, not in Tokyo. Kenny never beat Okada in Tokyo. Yeah, nitpicking. Yeah, maybe, but it's factual.
No, I mean, it's a stat's a stat. Listen, JR is iconic. He is legendary. His gold jacket is well earned. But there is a time when the game's kind of passed you by and you got to walk away.
I think the product just is not for him, in my opinion. I think his boredom and his practical disdain of certain things on the show come across in his commentary sometimes. And it's like, that is not how you sell your show, in my opinion. So, yeah. Tony Schiavone, on the other hand, has been a revelation. And I think it's because
Schiavone.
Dude,
Schiavone.
He was completely divorced from the wrestling business for 20 years almost. Like, didn't follow it, completely removed. And he is back in, and I think him seeing the new talent and the new style and the craziness of it all, and he's experiencing all this for the first time, and like, he loves it. And it's clear that he loves it. That he's like completely blown away by how far things have come. And it shows on his commentary. And he's so enthusiastic all the time. And it just makes the show more fun to listen to when it's just him. Like, when it's just him and Excalibur, I'm grateful. Like, when JR is not there, I'm 100% fine with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway,
Kenny is the champion.
The match real quick. Kenny's champ. Like you said, not a 5-star match. Probably if you were to divvy it up between
4.5. I think Meltzer gave it. I think Meltzer gave it 4.5.
For a free television match, you definitely got more than what you normally get.
Oh yeah,
I mean, folks,
you got a hell of a match on free TV.
Jon Moxley dove at Kenny Omega, who was outside the ring, through the ropes, and Kenny Omega V-triggered him mid-air.
Yeah.
A V-trigger is a knee strike to the head. So imagine someone diving headfirst at someone, and then catching a jumping knee to that head.
Let me tell you this. These were the best V-triggers I've seen out of Kenny since he was in Japan. I'm serious. Kenny, like, this was the Kenny that I've been waiting for. the Kenny Omega that made me fall in love with Kenny Omega.
Yes. So Kenny wins, not cleanly.
Well, there's an interesting wrinkle to that. No, not cleanly, but they went out of their way.
The mic.
Hang on.
He dropped the mic
on Moxley's face.
Yes.
But they went out of their way over and over again to say that they had the gentleman's agreement that there would be no shenanigans, no foreign objects, no garbage stuff. And technically speaking, it was Moxley who threw the chairs in the ring first. Granted, he did not use them against Kenny, but he did bring them into the fold. And then he threw Kenny into the heater that they had outside, because it was apparently in the 40s and 50s outside in Daly's place. So they did have various big heat blowers outside the ring, and Moxley threw Kenny into one of them in the match. So you could argue, and I think that's what Kenny's going to argue, is that the gentleman's agreement for no BS was broken by Moxley first, making Kenny's use of the microphone as the foreign object, justifiable.
Right. And that mini segment when they were sitting in those chairs in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, because they were punching each other.
They got physical. It was great. Dude, look, I'm not gonna pretend Moxley's not great. Like, Moxley is awesome. He was hamstrung. Yeah. Where he came from, he was hamstrung. He was made into a caricature of whatever he's supposed to be when he was in WWE, despite even early on in his WWE career, he was clearly a different animal than the other guys he was paired with, and they made him into a joke. Now he gets to be John Moxley, like the real deal. Guy can cut a promo like nobody's business, and he has a real interesting. I mean, it's the wrong word. Is he going to put on an acrobatic clinic like Kenny probably could? No. Moxley's more of a bruiser, more of a brawler, but man, is he good at it, and man, does he put on a physical match. And him and Kenny, this is their second match, although technically one of them didn't count, but whatever, it's their second match. And they're getting a nice little rivalry going, and they certainly can deliver the goods in the ring.
So the 1, 2, 3s count. Kenny Omega is the new AEW champion, and then things get weird.
They sure do. Now,
why don't you
all right
kind of take it from here? So, because we're getting into territory where I'm just like, wait, what?
Okay, so some months ago, Don Callis came out to do commentary on Kenny's match. I think it was against Hangman. He may have even appeared in a match before. I could be wrong. Someone's gonna have to check me on this. As soon as the tournament started for the number one contendership tournament, I'm pretty sure Don Callis started showing up on commentary for Kenny's matches. Now, Don Callis, for those of you who don't know, goes way back. He was a wrestler. He was a manager in WWF at the time, way back in the mid-90s. He was also Cyrus the Virus, an ECW, another manager, authority type figure, always a heel. Don Callis has been involved in wrestling all this time. Currently, he is the head booker for Impact Wrestling. He has also done color commentary with Kevin Kelly for NJPW for the past X amount of years, and he's great at it. Him and Kevin Kelly are phenomenal on commentary there.
So really quick, he was Cyrus the Virus?
Yes.
How many matches did he have with Nicolas Cage before Con Air?
What year did Con Air come out, actually, now that I'm thinking about this? Con Air came out in 1997. So
97.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, now we know where Don Callis got the name. In any case, Cyrus the Virus was like the network executive in ECW, so he was immediately like a superhero because ECW is totally anti-authority. Anyway,
right.
we're waxing nostalgic here. But anyway, Don Callis is great, and he's been in the business forever. He is from Winnipeg, where Kenny is from. He was instrumental in Kenny's early career, and they go back a long ways. So that's why that was. So when he showed up on commentary with to do Kenny's matches, it was a little weird. I thought, well, that's kind of strange because he works for Impact Wrestling. However, the Kenny Omega connection, the NJPW connection, I thought, well, they're just bringing him in for a little flavor, right? Fair enough. What we didn't know all this time was what was happening behind the scenes, because apparently this has been building for a long time, and now we're seeing it come to fruition. Kenny Omega wins the title. Don Callis is right there at ringside. He grabs Kenny as Kenny lifts the belt, I think, once. He grabs Kenny, they get out of the ring, and they get the hell out of Dodge quickly.
They book it.
They leave the ring, they walk through the tunnel, they pass by Gorilla Position, or the Dusty Position as it's called in AEW, where Tony Khan is there. Tony Khan is not a character on TV, but we know who he is. He's the owner, promoter of the show. They walk right by Tony Khan. They book it to the parking lot. They go through the locker room. Everyone's like freaking out on Kenny because technically he cheated to win, so he's got some heel heat there. They walk past all the locker room. They walk past all the talent. They go to the garage. They have a car waiting for him. Kenny makes for the door of the car. Marvez, who sucks, by the way. Alex Marvez is terrible. Get someone else in there. Asks Don Callis, what's going on? What is going on? Don Callis says, we'll tell you what's going on Tuesday. And my brain went, on Dark? What? And then it hit me, no sooner did I think that I went, oh. And then Marvez says, Dynamite's on Wednesday. And Callis says, Tuesday night, Impact Wrestling, Access TV, we'll tell you what we have to say. And that is the big news coming out of all of this, is that AEW is crossing over, if you will, with Impact Wrestling, another North American wrestling promotion. Now, how you feel about that, I don't know, because unfortunately, Carl, you're new. You're kind of new to all this. Impact Wrestling, formerly TNA Wrestling, doesn't have the best reputation in the business. Years of bad things. I mean, we're talking years of bad things are associated with Impact Wrestling. Granted, the new ownership, not as much, but they inherited a very, very checkered legacy. So a lot of fans, myself included, I don't know how to feel about this alliance, this crossover. Now, granted, my beef with the company is not with their talent. They have a lot of great talent. Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows are there right now. Luke Gallows. They are the originators, along with Finn Balor in WWE now anyway, but at the time, Fergal Devitt, they are the original Bullet Club, okay? Legit original Bullet Club. They left WWE, and everyone thought they were almost not certain, but likely to go to AEW. Instead, they wound up in Impact. Impact paid, right? Whatever. Impact's paying people too. Their women's division, out of all the crap that they've gone through in Impact, one constant in Impact that is a positive, they have had a really strong women's division for years, and that remains the case right now. They have great female talent in Impact. So if that can help bolster the AEW women's division, good. That's a good thing, because AEW's one of their weak points is their women's division. So I can see positives coming out of that. But ultimately, it feels very weird, because AEW, despite being the new kid on the block, is de facto the number 2 promotion in the United States. Like they just are. And no, I'm sure Impact fans don't want to hear that because Impact's been around for so long, and ROH fans might not want to hear that because ROH has been around for. But it's true. They have a show on national television every week that's drawing near 1 million viewers. They did 918,000, I think, this week, something like that. They're pushing towards 1 million. The Sting thing might put them over the top next week. We'll see. They don't need to be, reaching into the, they don't need to be bailing out Impact. Like I really question the gains to AEW from Impact here. The Impact has everything to gain here by this affiliation. I really don't know what AEW stands to gain out of it, except for the idea, which, and I think this is the idea. AEW wants to be basically, they want to bring all wrestling together. So they want to make it all matter. They want to make all companies intertwined to some degree. Basically, high tide raises all ships mentality. They don't want to pretend that other companies don't exist. They don't want to pretend that other wrestling doesn't exist. If a guy comes in from somewhere else, they don't pretend that he's new and that he's never been seen before. They bring his whole legacy with them. So I guess the idea here is we're all going to, I think the idea is AEW is going to make alliances with every company they can to basically be the kingpin, for lack of a better term, the kingpin of non-WWE wrestling, where everything matters. You can be a fan of everything that you want to be a fan of, and it all matters, and it's all possible to intertwine at some point. So if you like a guy from Company X, you might see a guy from Company X wrestle your favorite guy in Company Y, that being AEW. It's possible to happen. We're comics fans. I don't think you need to tell us about the exciting prospects of crossovers, right? Like we love crossovers in comics. It's always exciting when things like that happen, or that they can happen. Look at the MCU, for instance, right? How long were all the franchises in the MCU walled off at different studios? And then suddenly, we saw the whole thing unfold where all things are possible now because everything's under one roof. Now, it's not quite the same thing with AEW, but the idea is kind of the same. Like it's not all walled off. The walls are open, more or less. AEW is just going to be the catalyst to make it all kind of work together. At least that's the idea, I think. And that's exciting.
Yeah. There was just a lot of confusion on all our parts at the end of this on Wednesday night, and having had a chance to step back and think about it more, like it didn't feel necessarily good at the end of the show because like we had been pulling for so long for Kenny to become the champion, and he finally did that, and then like the moment was sacrificed for this other thing that we don't know what it is, and because it's so unexpected and because we've been having so much enjoyment out of AEW, something that could potentially be a threat to that is a cause for concern.
Right. Like
thinking, being more separated from that now, like if this is something, if they, like you said, this could be a rebirth of the territories.
Kind of, yeah.
The way professional wrestling used to be. I think if they wanted to do something like baseball does with interleague play, like they do it once a year, you cross over companies, you have as far as like television programs go, cool. You have a healthy relationship between the companies, a respectful exchange of talent. Great. My only question with that is how long can something like that last?
I don't know. We're gonna find out. Well, I guess we have no choice. We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I share. I have. Look. Me knowing more about Impact than you do. I'm very reluctant about all this. I don't know that it's a great idea, but I am more than willing to see it through. And I think I think there's a bigger picture here that they're playing with that maybe I don't fully appreciate yet. One thing worth noting, though, and this could be some 4D chess that maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but Impact has a working relationship now. I mean, on a more real level than AEW for sure. Impact is sharing talent right now with NJPW. Now that in itself is monumental because NJPW for a long time swore to never work with TNA Impact again because of how they treated Okada when he was before he was Okada, when he was just a young lion on excursion in Impact TNA wrestling. They made him into basically a joke. So NJPW did not forget that, and they basically froze out Impact for a long time and did not want to work with them. Now they're working with them again. Well, now AEW is working with Impact too. The bridges are being built here, and
Right.
at the end of the day, companies are companies, but the talent, a lot of these guys are all friends, man. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't take a genius to kind of start figuring out if the talent all like each other, and if the company heads can all see the benefit of working together, like there's really nothing stopping all this stuff from happening. If man, if Okada shows up on a Wednesday night on my TV, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. And at this point, it's not like it can't happen. Like Okada is friends with the Bucks. Like it's all these companies have to do is get out of the way and let the talent clearly knows that fans want this stuff to happen, right? And there's money to be made if it does. But the question is who gets the money. And this is where companies have to step in, unfortunately. But like, it's there. Like there is, for the fan, there are great opportunities here if everyone can get on the same page. Now, who benefits and all that, again, that's company talk, and we'll have to see how that works. But yeah.
So we'll close this out with this. How does, if at all, WWE react to this?
Oh, they air quotes don't care, except they do, because their whole business now is just to keep as much talent out of other companies as possible. They sign guys now just to keep them away. Like, that's it. They have no interest in using half the talent they have. They just want to sign them and keep them under thumb. That's really it. They're not. I don't think they're that concerned. They're still the multi-billion-dollar international, gold standard of professional wrestling. They're aware of all of this, I'm sure, and they'll probably try and do some more counter programming, and they'll try and hotshot something. But I don't know that they can, because I don't know that. I don't know. What could they do that would shock me? Like nothing. Ultimately, it's like if they somehow partner with NJPW, that would shock me. But NJPW is not about to get cozy with a company that already is talking about setting up a promotion inside of their border and try and take NJPW's shine. Like, NJPW does not want NXT Japan to happen. Believe me, they do not. So they're not about to cozy up with WWE. So, like, that's not good. And then even if they did, I made this analogy earlier because apparently someone made a statement. WWE, Triple H said, like, WWE's open for business or whatever when they're talking about partnerships and all that stuff in light of all of this. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure McDonald's is open to partnering with gourmet chefs around the world too. But at the end of the day, the gourmet chefs are still making fast food McDonald's under the McDonald's name. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? The analogy applies here. Like, I'm sure you're willing to work with whoever, but at the end of the day, those guys working with you are working under your banner, serving your slop, and it's going to have your brand on it, and that's going to always be paramount. It's not going to, they'll never let anyone get over on them. They'll never let anyone look better than them in any capacity. Ever. Ever. Never, ever.
Right.
So I have no faith in their ability to do some kind of shocking crossover and have the whole thing come off well, because they will never put themselves in a position to look lesser than anyone else. So there's no drama there. I know they're going to geek out anyone they bring in and make them look stupid. They did it to Sting, for God's sake, and WCW had been dead for 15 years at the time. They still jobbed out Sting.
All right.
So look, I know, I know I come off as so anti WWE, but it's like, you know what, dude? At the end of the day, some people think McDonald's is good food. Some people think Budweiser is good beer. I can't change those people's minds, even if they are objectively wrong. Okay, you like what you like, even if it's slop. WWE is the fast food of professional wrestling. It's not great. It's pretty consistent. It's okay. And it's available all over the world, and you know the logo and you know the name. That's what it is. It's never going to blow your mind. It's never going to really rise above a certain threshold. That's it. I got other companies that are my steakhouses, my ramen houses, my Mexican joint, and they're all giving me different flavors and amazing quality consumption that I crave, that I'm not going to get at McDonald's. You got to work with me on this analogy here, but this is how I feel about wrestling right now. I mean, I think it fits, to be honest.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I get what you're laying down. All right, so let's see.
We might want to just wrap this up here, because I think we've
yeah, folks, we were going to talk about Mandalorian.
We'll get to Mando. Don't worry.
We'll get to Mando. Spoilers. We both like what's going on in Mando.
Mando is great. We're going to talk about Mando. Yeah. Mando's awesome.
Yeah. And if Drew really likes it when they're starting to introduce animated characters to the show, and he's still on board.
We're going to talk about all that. They're doing it smartly. I'll stop there for now.
All right. Yeah, we will talk about Mandalorian. Don't worry. But long and short of it is, we like it. It's a lot of fun. I can't say anything about this week's episode because Drew hasn't watched it yet. I will say this really quick. One thing that is annoying me about Mandalorian, settle on an episode runtime. Like, come on now.
That's the beauty.
Last week's episode is 45 minutes. I get all excited going into this week. It's a half an hour episode.
That's the beauty of the streaming service model, man. They don't have to care. They're not locked into a time slot.
I know.
Still,
you know. I want more.
Well, we always want more.
That sweet, sweet Mando. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you hanging out with us, as always. We love to hear from you. If you want to communicate with us, send us an email, any comments, anything to be read on the show. You can reach us at the following social media locations. You can follow us on Devil's Due Pod on Twitter. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/devilsdupod. You can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdupodcast.com. Drew, any closing thoughts?
No.
All right.
No, I'll see you. I'll see you. I'll pop in on Twitch on Tuesday. We'll see what Kenny's got to say, and then for sure, obviously Wednesday is going to be Wednesday's going to be big. So, and it's not like they don't have a big. They have a stacked card for Wednesday too. So they knew that they were going to have some follow up to do, and they booked it accordingly. So, great, good thing. Right. Wrestling's fun, everybody. It really is.
It is fun. If you approach it with the understanding that it is a performance art, and it is theater, you're gonna have so much fun with it. All right, folks, that's gonna do it for us this week. We got a lot of fun, exciting stuff coming your way over the next couple episodes.
We do.
We'll be trying some new things. We're gonna be having some guests. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So we can't wait to roll out some new stuff for you all, and we hope you all stay safe, have a great couple weeks, and we will see you on the next episode.